open the public hearing and get things started. This is we'll get everyone's attention. Um, my name is Kyle Katz. I'm a regional planner with the Two Rivers Outreach Regional Commission, and
I'm Ginevra. I'm the director at Sustainable Woodstock.
and we've opened the public hearing for a community development block grant disaster recovery application for Riverside Mobile Home Park. Before we begin to gather comments, we'll just give a brief presentation, providing some of the context of the work and what this application entails. So we can go to the first slide. So Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery is federal funding. It's from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's made available after federally declared disasters following kind of the emergency response phase. This additional funding goes to in Vermont's case, parts of the state that were hit hardest by flooding from the 2023 flood. So our study area is Riverside Mobile Home Park. You can see the aerial image here. Riverside's been impacted by both Tropical Storm Irene in 2011 and the July 2023 flood event. You can see it's located right at that bend in the river, and there is a pinch point between Riverside and Route 4 that tends to hold up a lot of the water. So in 2024, the Regional Planning Commission that I work for had some funding through the Resilience Initiative for Vermont Empowerment and Recovery to do some very high-level preliminary engineering work to look at what impact floodplain restoration might have at Riverside. And the information we gathered from this initial study is that restoration along Riverside, both upstream along it and downstream, could lower flood heights by over a foot in some areas of the park. But it would entail relocating some of the homes that are closest to the river and most susceptible to flooding. And so this initial study would need much more detailed engineering work, and that's really where we come to the application that we're putting into CDBG right now. So
thank you, Todd. Like I said, I'm Ginevra with Sustainable Woodstock. I've had a cold for 3 days. I thought it was COVID. It's not COVID, but I'm sorry if you can't hear me. I'm trying to speak loudly through my mask. So as Kyle said, we have this initial kind of idea of what would help at Riverside from the level 1 engineering study. The grant that Kyle and I have spent time writing would fund an engineering study that would be a 2D model of the area. So that's actually looking at the entire river channel up and downstream of the park in a, what else can I say, a 2D way. So it's more detailed, and ideally it will give us a more precise understanding of where floodplain restoration could have the highest impact for lowering flood levels at the park. And floodplain restoration, when we say that, we mean generally the idea of lowering land to allow for a place for floodwaters to go. And this is just an image of the park. It's interesting from above, showing the FEMA floodplain areas. So as Kyle said, from the first engineering study that was less in-depth, there was this idea that likely we would have to relocate some of the homes or do floodplain restoration where some of the homes at Riverside currently are. So if that is the case, the study will tell us more about that and where those areas could be, which is really helpful. And we're applying for funding for a real estate agent and a civil engineer to do a study with them to look at potential areas that we could relocate up to 12 mobile homes. And it's a note here that it would offset any removal of mobile homes. So of course, the idea is not to have people homeless. The idea is to give them a new opportunity for a place to live off-site, if that's what the best answer is. We don't know yet. With no net loss of housing units. And we're identifying and ranking, prioritizing up to 5 potential relocation sites, ideally within Woodstock, for approximately 8 to 12 mobile homes. And I've just listed out project partners here. I know some of you are with us today. I think I've got everyone up there, hopefully. And I think that was the general overview of this grant. It is a lot of information. And I'm happy to go back and look at any of the slides, or Kyle and I can just sort of answer questions about what the plan for the grant is, or the purpose of this meeting is required by the grant application to hold this meeting and to get public comment. So whatever comments you give, we can then reflect those comments in the application when we submit it. So that's sort of the main purpose of the meeting, but happy to answer questions as well. Anything else, Pat?
No, I think you summed it up. So
if anyone has to get out of here soon, if you have comments, I guess, if they're gonna be heard, if they're gonna be heard by the owl, because I am recording this for prosterity's sake. Yeah. You get to sit at the front table.
Just want. I'm here as the board member of Sustainable Woodstock to support this grant proposal. And I think taking care of everyone in our community, it must be our most important priority. So I'm hoping that this can move through. Thank you. Madeline Reynolds, Woodstock, Vermont. Thank you. Bye.
First of all, I've never heard that called the owl before, and that is such a great name for it. I never thought of it, but it really does look like a little owl. Maybe we can do a children's book about the Woodstock Conference Owl. Just one quick question. How many homes are currently in the park?
By my count last, it was 39.
39.
That's what my urban recent count, but anyone else? Yeah.
So that the homes that potentially would have to be relocated are 8 to 10, somewhere in that area. Is that what you're thinking now?
that's what we're thinking, 8 to 12. We don't,
Okay.
we'd have a more precise estimate with the more detail.
Well, that's why you're doing this.
Yeah.
I don't live in what's it called? Riverside Park?
Mm-hmm.
I don't live in Riverside Park, but I do live in Woodstock. And I am very gratified that you're doing this work. We can't afford to lose any homes, but we also obviously can't afford people to be flooded in their homes. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing, and I completely and 100% support it. And I wish you all the luck. And then I hope if things do have to be moved, that we can come up with additional funding. And I also appreciate this kind of private-public partnership going on here, where the town doesn't necessarily have the resources to even apply for a grant like this, but that having Sustainable Woodstock and other organizations like that come in is a huge benefit to the town. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Roger Logan, Woodstock, Vermont.
Hi, I'm Lynn Bryant with South Woodstock, also with Sustainable Woodstock, and I'd like to echo the thanks to all of you for what you're doing. It's really important work. I think it's a question of this Riverside Park of not if it's going to flood again, it's just when it's likely that it's going to continue to happen. And I think that we as a town, as a community, have a responsibility to support our more vulnerable residents. And I think these residents are vulnerable because they're bearing the brunt of climate change with the river rise. And they may have less resources in terms of emergency planning as well as relocating. And so I think this is a really, really positive step to try to support this community. Wholeheartedly support it, and I hope it's through.
I think that. 30 years.
My name is Meg Seeley. I'm a resident of Bridgewater, Vermont. I have worked with, as a volunteer capacity, I've worked with residents of the Riverside community, both after Irene and all the way through to the present day in financial relief projects. So I hear often how, and in the recent meetings that have happened at Riverside around this project, in the respectful way it's come before the residents, I can say that they often speak of the trauma that they all carry. And I am just so proud to be a part of this project. I really like the collaboration, as has already been mentioned, both with public and private. But I really like the collaboration that's happening amongst Woodstock's nonprofits. And I just think it's really an amazing thing. And I think if nothing else comes of this, but I hope that it does, strong supporter of this project, it's gone a long way towards bridging that bridge between Riverside and the rest of the town. Thank you.
Like so intimidating now, but I'm a previous Woodstock resident, just moved to Hartford, Vermont, and I'm also a climate scientist. I don't know if I should look at the owl or okay. I'm also a climate scientist, and I used to work in flooding resilience, and I think this is the most important work that can be done, is making sure those that are on the front lines are they're the first to be impacted, and they should be the first to be supported. So I'm so grateful for the work and happy to be a part of it. Okay. And my name is Maggie O'Shea, Margaret O'Shea.
You want to comment?
Me?
You or Rebecca? Everyone else spoke, right?
Yeah, I think we just want to make sure, no one else wants to make a comment, we can close the hearing, but yeah, give folks the opportunity.
Jennifer, do you have yours and Kyle's contact info listed in case anyone wants to reach out to you about the project? Like is there a way that, what's the best way to reach out to you if anybody has questions?
That's a good point. Not on the spot,
That's okay.
but I'll give it to anyone who doesn't come already.
Okay.
I know everyone hears that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
and we have no other business,
So probably close the hearing. Great.
well,
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
and if you get your name and you're here, make sure that's.
All right, yeah,